I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers fade as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Welcome to this exploration. We are looking today at a really deep but also deceptively simple question. It's presented in Lesson 355. There is no end to all the peace and joy and all the miracles that I will give when I accept God's word. Why not today?
It's that last bit, isn't it? Why not today? When you start to sit with this lesson, you realize, we're not waiting for peace to just show up from some far-off future.
Right.
We're actually acting as if we're waiting for a permission slip.
Yes. A permission slip from the world, or maybe from that, that little judgmental voice inside our own heads, to finally just feel the joy that's already ours.
That's our inheritance.
Exactly. We're sort of examining why we treat peace like it's something we have to achieve after we clear a whole checklist of external things, instead of realizing it's the ground we're standing on right now. It's accessible this instant.
Yeah.
And today's concept, all the lessons, it's going to sound familiar, but the workbook is designed to do that, to explore these same ideas again and again.
But from new angles.
Yeah, from new angles and digging into deeper, more practical layers each time.
I think the beauty of this particular lesson is just how immediate it is. It's not giving you a 20-step plan or anything.
Yeah.
It just offers a question. And that question challenges our whole belief system around scarcity and delay. We're really going to unpack this specific, internal resistance that keeps us stuck in that not yet state.
And if you're practicing along with us and you find yourself sort of confronting your own reasons for delaying peace, we really do love to hear your experiences.
We do.
You can always feel free to email us at acim@theworldharmonyproject.org, or you can find the World Harmony Project on social media like TikTok and YouTube.
I think we should just start by letting the lesson speak for itself.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Lesson 355. There is no end to all the peace and joy and all the miracles that I will give when I accept God's word. Why not today?
Why should I wait, my Father, for the joy you promised me? For you will keep your word you gave your son in exile. I'm sure my treasure waits for me, and I need but reach out my hand to find it. Even now my fingers touch it. It is very close. I need not wait an instant more to be at peace forever. It is you I choose, and my identity along with you. Your son would be himself and know you as his father and creator, and his love.
Even now my fingers touch it. That one phrase, it's so vivid.
It really is.
You get this image of infinite peace and joy, like right there. It's within our grasp, but we stall. We pull our hand back. Why do we do that?
And that is the absolute core of our exploration today, isn't it? The challenge of why not today. The Course points out that the resistance to peace is, it's rarely about external fear. It's not usually fear that something bad is going to happen if we let our guard down.
Right, it's something else.
We judge ourselves as not ready or not worthy right now.
Oh, I see this constantly in my own life. I mean, it shows up as that subconscious thought that I need that permission slip. I'll be sitting there quietly with my morning coffee, feeling that first little bit of calm, but then the mental checklist just starts running.
Yep. The to-do list.
The to-do list. And I'm pretty sure I'm telling myself I can't fully be at peace until the day's chaos is tamed, until I've cleared my inbox or handled that one financial thing.
It's that internal negotiation, isn't it? I think most of us delay accepting peace today because the ego, that voice of separation, has convinced us that waiting is somehow a useful strategy.
Right. And the mind is so good at rationalizing it. We think delay buys us time to, gather more information, or to wait for some external proof that we're safe. Or maybe we convince ourselves that later there's going to be a future version of ourselves, a more ready, less tired or better prepared version that can handle this inheritance of peace more effectively than I can right now.
And that strategic delay, it often takes these very specific, kind of insidious forms. Like, for example, if you have a necessary but difficult conversation you need to have.
Yeah.
Say, addressing a misunderstanding with your spouse, or maybe setting a boundary with a family member, the mind just jumps in and says, now can't possibly be the right time. I'm in the wrong headspace. I'm too annoyed. I'm too sensitive. I'm too tired to approach this with love.
If I go into a difficult conversation when I'm stressed, I might just make everything worse.
That's a really powerful point. Waiting until you're calm is a lot of times still an ego strategy. It just means you're waiting for the external environment or maybe your physical state to sort of achieve stability so that your ego can reassert its control over the whole interaction.
So if I'm waiting until I feel calm or ready, I'm basically saying I can only experience love and peace when I feel strong enough to defend myself or manage the outcome.
Exactly. You're still operating in defense mode. It's just a more subtle, more strategic one.
Uh,
The peace in the Course, on the other hand, it's an active state of accepting your identity before the conversation, so you don't even need to monitor the outcome or defend yourself.
I see.
Delaying, in this context, just means using the moment's perceived deficiency, I'm too tired, I'm too busy, I'm too upset, as the excuse to postpone what's already yours.
It's a form of self-judgment then, isn't it? We're judging our current self as like deficient or inadequate to hold on to peace while we're facing a difficulty, and so we postpone the inheritance until we think we're better.
And that is the crucial insight right there. The core resistance is the internal decision to argue against God's word. We're implicitly saying that God's peace is not enough to sustain us while we deal with our busy schedules or discomfort. We convince ourselves that if we just hold off for a little bit, the external circumstances will rearrange themselves to better accommodate our peace, or that the difficulty will just pass, and that'll make accepting it easier.
But that delay, it never actually delivers what it promises. It doesn't make the conversation easier. It keeps that low-level tension running in the background of our mind.
We waste so much energy maintaining that internal case for why things suck right now.
Yeah.
Or why we deserve to be stressed. That's the real cost of the delay. The energy we use to choose lack and conflict for an instant more is energy we could have used for active engagement and giving.
So if we see the treasure right under our fingers and we still pull back, we are choosing exile. Consciously or unconsciously, we're choosing to argue for our lack when abundance is already available.
And we keep making that choice because I think we don't fully understand what it is we're putting off. If we're imagining peace as this, fragile, quiet state that you only get in a dim room with chanting.
Right.
Maybe we're afraid it'll interfere with our plans or our, preference for being active and engaged in the world. We think peace means we have to stop doing things or stop caring. But that's the world's definition.
That is a really necessary pivot because we have to look at what we're actually refusing. If we accept the world's definition of peace, it's something that you only get after the battle is over. The world says once the chaos subsides or when the bank balance is right, then you can have peace.
It's always conditional.
It's always conditional and it's always temporary.
The Course kind of repurposes the word peace, making it really distinct from the world's view of peace versus war or chaos.
Yeah.
The world's peace is just the temporary absence of conflict. The Course's peace is an inheritance that is totally independent of whatever the world is doing. It's permanent and it's secure.
It's interesting how the world gauges our identity, right? Our worth is so often evaluated by these external metrics. How big is the portfolio? How many people liked our latest post? How effective were we in that meeting? If we accept the world's view, we have to constantly monitor those metrics to see if we're currently safe enough to feel calm.
And Course peace is the state where our identity is secure and is not evaluated by any of those fluctuating external things. It's the realization that who you are is completely unrelated to your current bank balance or the severity of your flight delay.
Right.
It's a state of being, not a result of doing.
So it's not taking us away from activity. It's actually providing the capacity for genuine, selfless activity.
Yes.
And one of the biggest reasons we keep up this strategy of delay is that deep-seated concern that accepting peace will make us passive, that it'll lead us to stop caring or that we'll lose our drive.
That peacemonger stereotype is so powerful, that image of someone who's so laid back, they become ineffective. But the Course addresses this fear head on by showing us that its peace is not passive at all, it's active and enabling.
If you think about navigating a busy, stressful environment, like a crowded airport during a holiday rush, or managing a deadline in a chaotic office day, if you're delaying peace, you are choosing navigating those situations in defense mode.
You're operating from the state of threat assessment. Do I have enough time? Am I safe from criticism? Should I defend this position? When you operate in defense mode, you use up all your mental and emotional resources just monitoring and protecting the self.
Accepting our inheritance means dropping the defenses first. It means accepting that our identity is secure, regardless of the flight cancellation or the aggressive email.
And When you're established in peace, you are so much more capable of handling the unexpected because your core being isn't contingent on the environment behaving itself. That foundation of safety is what allows you to be truly helpful because your actions aren't being driven by the need to get something for yourself like relief or reassurance.
And this is where we see that transition to the second big idea in the lesson. This peace, which is an active inheritance, it naturally leads to all the miracles that I will give. The lesson is very clear that there's no end to the miracles we will give when we accept God's word.
And that connection is key. Acceptance of peace causes the giving of miracles. And as we know, a miracle in the context of the Course is not an event, like finding that perfect parking spot or getting an unexpected check in the mail. Events are always effects.
You know, I sometimes still fall into that trap of looking for external events as proof. It just feels so much more satisfying to point to a tangible outcome, doesn't it?
It does.
But the Course tells us very specifically that extension, our giving, our shift in perception, that's the cause.
And if we focus on miracles as events, we get stuck in miracle counting mode. We're looking for external proof that our interchange was successful. We start asking, did it work? Did it count? We're still trying to manage the results, waiting for the universe to validate our choice for peace.
That monitoring is the ego's trap. If I'm thinking, okay, I chose peace this morning, so I should definitely see a positive sign, I'm still making the outcome conditional. The attention is still on managing results rather than simply accepting the inner state.
Extension happens automatically. It happens without our conscious management. I mean, think about the analogy of tension. When I'm deeply stressed, I don't plan to sound sharp or impatient with a stranger on the phone, but I might do it anyway because my tone and my body are matching my inner state. Stress just automatically expresses itself.
Peace works the exact same way. When peace is accepted internally, when we drop the defense mechanisms, it automatically expresses itself in our tone, in our pace, in how we listen without judgment. It's simply the automatic expression of a mind that's at rest.
Yeah, we don't need to try to reflect love correctly or plan exactly how to be patient. That would assume extension is some kind of performance.
Right.
And if we're trying to manage how we appear, we are right back under the ego's control, monitoring our actions to see if they look miracle-worthy or generous enough.
And not planning the extension means we don't get to choose when to be kind or who deserves a miracle.
Exactly.
If we accept peace, it just extends outward on its own. The experience of giving miracles just feels like having fewer internal checks. You're not constantly monitoring yourself to see if you're doing it right or if the other person is sufficiently grateful.
If you're aware of a miracle as a miracle you are personally performing, the ego is already back in charge of your mind because it's claiming ownership of the spiritual act.
This is why the Course draws that line between a miracle, which is a change of mind, and generosity, which is an action or a windfall. We often confuse giving that is self-aware and visible, like, filming a charitable act for social media, with a true miracle. That kind of self-aware giving is often ego-based because the giver maintains that separation. I am the one giving and they are the one receiving.
And crucially, the giver in that situation is often judging the payoff, the gratitude, the kudos, the online engagement. And while help is certainly being given, it's not the same as a miracle. A miracle requires the absence of judgment and the absence of separation.
So let's bring this back to the core lesson. The miracle is simply the shift from a thought of fear to a thought of love.
That's it.
The miracle is the absence of conflict. And this can happen entirely internally without the world seeing any external change at all.
Think about a long-standing grievance. Perhaps it's a repetitive, annoying situation. They're going to say what they usually say. That's an external fact.
And our established habit is to let that comment trigger a whole mental cascade. We rehearse our defense, we gather evidence of their wrongness, we feel totally justified in our anger.
Right. But today, because you chose the inheritance of peace in the morning, the grievance doesn't take over your thinking. When they say the usual trigger comment, you choose not to rehearse your mental list of what's wrong with them. You don't feel that visceral need to defend, protect, or justify a single thing about yourself.
You might still respond to them, but there's no history behind your response. It's clean, it's based only on the moment, and it's devoid of the emotional weight of years of perceived offenses.
Now, if a third person were watching this interaction, does it look like a miracle? Probably not.
Yeah.
It might just look like one person being insensitive and the other person responding calmly.
But internally, something huge has shifted. A whole hostile interpretation just never happened. The usual cycle of attack and defense was broken entirely within your own mind.
That absence of conflict, that non-participation in the ego's drama, is the miracle. It's the change of mind that has already been given and extended because you stopped monitoring and defending the self. This brings us right back to why we delay. If a miracle is simply the absence of conflict in our mind, then delaying peace means choosing to keep that conflict running in the background. We delay the absence of blame, the absence of defense, the absence of the need to correct others, and the absence of the need to perform.
We are choosing this complex, exhausting state when an instantaneous, effortless state is available. And that choice against our own freedom is what the workbook is constantly trying to, illuminate for us.
And we so often justify this choice by using immediate physical conditions or minor inconveniences as our reason for exile. And this leads us right into the discussion of continuous practice and self-judgment.
Absolutely. The workbook has 365 lessons for a reason, right? It's because this is a continuous practice. We don't reach some peak state of peace and then just stay there forever. Yeah. The ego is incredibly persistent in offering us reasons to step back into exile, even after a moment of true clarity.
We might experience moments of total peace, that beautiful state of calmness, deep gratitude for everything, freedom from judging anything, including ourselves, and then an hour later, something mundane happens, like we lose our car keys or spill coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly we feel that irritation just flooding back in. That's the reality of the practice. The practice isn't about never losing the peace. It's about how quickly we're willing to recognize the lapse and return to the choice for peace. We don't have to punish ourselves for the lapse, but we do notice that we've willingly picked up the meager gifts of frustration again and decide to reach out our hand for the treasure instead.
And we use our internal and physical states as conditions for peace, which is where we choose conflict. I mean, consider a minor physical discomfort, something like a stiff neck or just general fatigue from poor sleep. We'll decide that we are not at peace.
Right.
We use the body's state as the reason to postpone our joy.
We are, in effect, making the body's condition the condition for accepting God's word. We say, I would be at peace, but my body is currently suffering, therefore I am justified in being miserable.
Yeah.
The stiff neck is a physical fact, but the suffering, the mental and emotional state of feeling victimized or frustrated by it, is actually our internal decision to use that fact as a reason to stay in exile.
This is a huge block for so many of us because acknowledging physical discomfort just seems realistic. If I have a fever, surely I'm not expected to feel joyful, right? We confuse the experience of physical symptoms with the experience of mental conflict.
And that confusion is the ego's greatest trick in these moments. The body's condition is neutral. It's just a piece of equipment reporting data. It's the mind that takes that data, my head hurts, and uses it to build an entire narrative of deprivation, unfairness, and delay. The mind decides that because the body is uncomfortable, it's entitled to withhold its peace.
So we're arguing that God's word, our secure identity, isn't enough to sustain us while we're dealing with a busy schedule, a messy house, or a headache. We're choosing to listen to the ego. Every moment we delay unblocking peace, we delay giving miracles, we delay experiencing the freedom that comes from knowing our identity is secure.
So why not today? It's a really profound challenge. Perhaps for you today, the reason is a looming deadline or a misunderstanding with a loved one, or just feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks ahead. Regardless of what the perceived obstacle is, the treasure is so incredibly close. The lesson says, I need not wait an instant more to be at peace forever.
And that instant more of waiting is the decision to choose conflict over acceptance. The lesson invites us to choose our identity right now, along with the love that created us. It's a moment-by-moment invitation to just drop the mental case for why things shouldn't be good right now.
When we stop judging the self as not ready or not enough to receive this profound inheritance, the peace simply shines through and its automatic extension follows. We realize that the conditions we imposed were never actually barriers. They were just excuses we used to postpone our joy.
So to recap, Lesson 355. Stop waiting for the world or your body or your mental checklist to give you permission to be at peace. The treasure of peace and joy is already under your fingers. The moment you are willing to feel it, you realize the choice to delay was the choice to judge yourself.
And the necessity is recognizing that choice.
Yeah.
We are choosing exile and self-judgment when we delay. The practice involves noticing that delay strategy and immediately reaching out for the treasure instead. And remember, peace is not fragile. It is the active, secure foundation that allows you to give miracles effortlessly, regardless of the chaos around you.
I would just encourage you to notice today, in your own mundane schedule, when you feel that impulse to wait for things to be better before you allow yourself to be happy or at peace. Ask yourself, what is the condition I'm imposing right now to delay my joy? And then just practice reaching out your hand for the treasure instead of picking up the meager gifts of frustration or annoyance or self-pity. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of Lesson 355. We hope you can join us again tomorrow for Lesson 356.
Until then, let's practice choosing peace today.